Good morning, everyone. So now I will be discussing about behavioral learning theories, especially the first theory, the Pavlov classical conditioning. But before I will discuss about Pavlov classical conditioning, I will be discussing about what is behaviorism. So we know that behaviorism is concerned with the behavioral changes and the role of the environment. In these changes, behaviorist Daspak et al. Claims that nurture is crucial in the process of acquiring knowledge, while the known behaviorist John B. Watson writes that the ultimate goal of behaviorism is to derive laws to explain the relationship existing among antecedent condition or stimuli, the behavior, and the following conditions such as rewards, punishment, or neutral effects. We know that the classical conditioning is created by Ivan Pavlov. So, who is Ivan Pavlov? So, Ivan Pavlov was a famous psychologist and scientist who spent the rest of his life studying reflexes of dogs. He performed an experiment that resulted in the creation of the term classical conditioning. So that's the classical conditioning started. So why did Pavlov name his theory the Pavlov classical conditioning? So Pavlov named his theory the classical conditioning because in classical conditioning, classical refers to the fact that it was one of the first types of conditioning to be studied and described. Therefore, classical simply indicates that the historical significance and pioneering nature of this type of conditioning. So that's why Pavlov called it classical. In conditioning, it is called conditioning because conditioning is a theory that says that a person or animal's response to a stimulus can be conditioned. In simple words, conditioning is the process of training a person and animal to respond to a stimulus in a certain way. It works by repeatedly exposing the person or animal to stimulus until they behave in a desired manner. So in his experiment, although Pavlov did the thinking, his dogs did the work. So why can you say that? Or why can we say that Pavlov did the thinking but his dog did the work? Because Pavlov experimented with his dogs. So in his experiment in classical conditioning, what did Pavlov do? In his experiment, Pavlov first presenting them with food. So the dogs would naturally salivate. Then, Pavlov began to present food to his dogs only after ringing a buzzer. This combination of bell with food went on for a while until Pavlov found that a buzzer presented alone without food also made his dog salivate. So now I will be discussing about the classical conditioning in a nutshell. So first is the unconditioned stimulus. We know that UCS is a stimulus that naturally triggers a response without learning. Diba kaganina I said that the UCS is the food. It is a naturally triggers a response without learning. So unconditioned stimulus is a stimulus or trigger that leads to an automatic response. So if a cold breeze makes you shiver, for instance, the cold breeze is a conditioned stimulus because it produces an involuntary response, the shivering. So when we say unconditioned response, it is the involuntary response that occurs naturally in response to unconditioned stimulus, the salivation or the immediate salivation of the dog. So when we say unconditioned response, it is the automatic response that occurs without thought when unconditioned stimulus is present. So for example, if you smell your favorite food and your mouth starts watering, the watering is an unconditioned response. And the food is the UCS, or the unconditioned stimulus. Unconditioned stimulus is the previously neutral stimulus that becomes associated with the unconditioned stimulus after repeated pairings. So the best example for Pavlov is the buzzer. The conditioned stimulus is a stimulus that once neutral or didn't trigger a response, but now leads to a response. For example, if you previously didn't pay attention to dogs, but then got hit by one, and now you feel fear every time you see a dog, the dog has become a conditioned stimulus. So another response is the conditioned response. What is conditioned response? So conditioned response is a learned response that occurs in response to the conditioned stimulus. So the best example of the experiment that Ivan Pavlov did is the salivation in response to the buzzer. So the conditioned response is a learned response, or a response that is created where no response existed before. Going back to the example of being hit by a dog, katong example ganina, the fear you experience after the bite is a conditioned response. So that's the conditioned response in a nutshell. So when we say stimulus, it is anything that causes a response in a human or animal. The original stimulus used by Ivan Pavlov was the bowl of dog food. This stimulus did not need to be associated with anything to produce an effect. This stimulus did not need to be associated with anything to produce an effect. Drooling was a reflex for the dog, a natural and learned response to the sight and smell of food. Therefore, the food is called unconditioned stimulus, as it already produced an effect without association. The natural response of the dog drooling is called the unconditioned response. Just remember, the unconditioned means naturally occurring before the experiment. Now, Pavlov added a bell to his experiment. A buzzer by itself is just a stimulus. And for Pavlov's dogs, the sound of a buzzer was not attached to any particular significance. Once the buzzer was rung with the presentation of food over and over again, the bell became a stimulus for drooling. Remember, a stimulus can be anything that creates a response. The bell became a conditioned stimulus once it was a signal to the dogs that food was coming. So salivation to the sound of the bell was a response that was conditioned to happen by Dr. Pavlov. Therefore, salivation was the conditioned response as well. The best example of classical conditioning in the classroom is the use of the pointer or stick to whip unruly learners in class may affect other pupils. They may associate the stick with whipping, thus triggering fear. Later, merely hearing or seeing a stick in class may elicit fear among them. That's why expert educators suggest using an open palm instead of a stick as a pointer. Because using a palm or using an open palm creates a more positive and non-threatening learning environment. Compare on using a pointer or stick to whip learners. In classical conditioning, there are several other phenomena that occur alongside the initial association between a conditioned stimulus or CS and the conditioned stimulus or the UCS. These phenomena include extinction, spontaneous recovery, generalization, and discrimination. In extinction, according to Button and Moody, when the CS is repeatedly unreinforced, that is, without a UCS, the CR will eventually diminish in intensity and effect, just like the experiment of Ivan Pavlov. di ba adto is magtuwa siya og iro. Diya after di ba inig magtuwa siya, magbutang siya og buzzer. Diya after sa pili lang kani ka attempt, ijang gisuwayan og di na magbutang og food pero sa buzzer ra, magbuzzer ra siya day mudo nagiro. Then after dinhi siya i-try nga butangan og unconditioned stimuli or katong food, murag nabutang sa jang nahuna nga away food diha, so mo na extinction murag mawa ijang murag maana na may bawan sa iro nga away food buzzer ra to murag. Extinction, in the other words, if the CS or the conditioned stimulus is no longer followed by the UCS, the association between them weakens and the CR diminishes. According to Robbins, this phenomenon is called spontaneous recovery. When the extinction of learning passes through time, the CR still restored or reappeared. Spontaneous recovery, it means that even after extinction has occurred and the CR or the conditioned response is diminished, the CR may still spontaneously return when the CS is presented again. Generalization occurs when the CR or the conditioned response is elicited by stimuli that are similar to the original CS. So, for example, if a dog has been conditioned to salivate at the sound of a specific tone like buzzer, it may also salivate when it appears a faster or slower beat of the buzzer or any device with quite a similar sound. So in generalization, mag-salivate gyapon ag-iro even lahi nga device or kanang kintay buzzer anja ilahi ni Pavlov or ikaw kung magtuwa ka ilahi na pud nimo nga device nga butang inig magpakaon ka murag na kon ka man sa iro nga buzzer to, so magsalivate gyapon or maglaway gyapon nagiro mo na generalization. In discrimination, it involves the ability to differentiate between the CS and other similar stimuli that do not elicit the CR. In discrimination on the other hand is the opposite of generalization. This means that the dog can distinguish the specific CS from other stimuli and only responds to the CS or conditioned stimulus that has been associated with the unconditioned stimulus. So anha nga time agdog makaibaw na siya nga di na buzzer mag nakaibaw na siya nung kadugayan di na siya maglaway agiro or mag-salivate. Mo na discrimination nibaon siya differentiate between the conditioned stimulus og the conditioned response. In conclusion, understanding behaviorism and Pavlovian conditioning helps teachers create effective teaching strategies. Applying these theories can lead to a positive and learner-centered classroom environment. Classical conditioning plays a significant role in various aspects of our lives, including learning, emotion, and behaviors. Understanding the classical conditioning can help us better understand and influence our own and others' behavior. These phenomena of classical conditioning are important in understanding how associations are formed, weakened, and generalized or discriminated against in various situations. They help explain the complex nature of learning and behavior in response to different stimulus. So that's my reporting for today. I hope you understand a lot in my reporting. That's all. Thank you.